Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and more of the Necromancer Corpse Explosion focused build. This is part 3, which will be focused on levels 21 to 30. And this will be the final part of the skills portion of this little mini series that I have going here. After this we will have a video of level 50 and higher, and then eventually probably level 85 or so. If you watched the first part, that was mainly focused on levels 1 through 10, obviously, and the Decompose skill, which helps generate essence, and the Bone Spear, which is your primary DPS. The second part focused on leveling up that Bone Spear and introducing the Corpse Explosion and Iron Maiden. This part we're going to focus more on the skills that support Corpse Explosion and other skills and really raise your DPS. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate that. Please like, comment, and subscribe. So as I am approaching level 21 here, I'm using a lot of the Bone Spear and Corpse Explosion and a little bit of the essence gathering skill Decompose. My skeletons are still doing a lot of the tanking for me. This does become a little bit more difficult as you level up into higher levels, but I'm going to go ahead and support the Tendrils skill with the Plagued Corpse Tendrils, and what this does is that any enemy who is impacted by this skill is now made vulnerable. And if you don't know what that means, it basically, in a general sense or a simpler sense, it just means the enemies take more damage. A lot of the skills that we're going to be doing here, like Bone Spear and the Tendrils, cause your enemies to take more damage because of that vulnerability. I think the Iron Maiden also has a chance to slow enemies, and if you remember from one of the previous episodes, the enemies who are slowed, stunned, or vulnerable take increased damage. Once you hit level 22, one thing that will unlock is your skeletal mages will be able to take the bone form, and we'll want to pick the second slot on this one because this is more of a defensive thing, and anytime they leave behind a corpse, they fortify you, which is basically just another layer of health that goes over your health globe. Think of it as a shield. On the topic of fortification or being fortified is this passive skill, which I'll encourage you to level up as needed. You could do it now or in the future. You will have plenty of skill points to work with. We already did the Corpse Tendrils, but there's a lot of these passive skills that are going to be kind of an up-to-you type of situation. I actually choose to put a skill point into a passive skill here. It's not this one. I think it's Hewed, I can't remember. Hewed Flesh, which increases the chance of producing a corpse. So just talking over some quick gameplay here. You see I throw down the Iron Maiden, the Tendril pulls in the enemies, and 1 or 2 Corpse Explosions clears out all of those enemies. Those further enemies obviously get taken out with Bone Spear, and it's kind of a rinse and repeat type of situation. It's pretty quick. Especially if you choose to level up the Corpse Tendrils, the cooldown is much shorter. I think it goes down to 6 or 7 seconds, and here I am at level 23. So with this skill point, I make the mistake of putting in a second rank for Iron Maiden. At this level, you actually have the opportunity to unlock Army of the Dead. The situation that I ran into with Army of the Dead or any of those ultimate skills is that you are very limited on your skill slots. So you can see, before I've even unlocked an ultimate, all of my skill slots are full. So you will have to sacrifice one of those skill slots if you would like to use an ultimate, or if you'd like to use the golem, you'd have to sacrifice a skill slot. Keep that in mind for the future. As we approach level 24, one thing that I have gotten much better at throughout using this class is keeping my skeletons alive, and this is very important, especially at high levels where they die rather quickly. There are a few passive skills that we'll go over in probably the next video that'll help give them a little bit more health and damage, but in the meantime, I am At this stage in my gameplay, my playthrough, I am having a little bit of a conflict, an internal conflict with this ultimate skill being taking over one of my skill slots, and I do later replace it with the tendrils. And I think honestly, I would go back to the tendrils because that is such a great skill. But I go with the huge flesh here to create more corpses for more corpse explosion, which does the majority of the damage. So if you've been lucky enough to stumble upon one of these cursed shrines, you'll have the opportunity to use all these skills and take out what seems like 100 enemies at once. I get in a little bit of a tight area here and kind of almost die, I think. I can't quite remember, but we do level up and we get to use our next skill. I think I choose to go with another passive skill because of that internal conflict I'm having with replacing one of my skills with an ultimate. There's a lot of passive skills that you can utilize, whether you want to increase the damage and life of your skeleton warriors, like this one here, but I choose to go with Grim Harvest, which produces more essence, every time a corpse is produced or consumed. So that allows me to use more of the Bone Spear, which is very high DPS, not the primary DPS, but very high.
You did well.
So at level 26, I finally give in. I gotta try the ultimate to see if it's worth it, so I put the point into Army of the Dead. And if you choose to do this, you want to do the support skills or the modifiers as well. And what this does is every 65 or 66 seconds or so, you have the right to summon the Army of the Dead, which basically attacks all the nearby enemies with these skeletons, and they explode. If you are going to choose a passive skill early on, I highly recommend this one here. The Grim Harvest is fantastic, and the modifier is even better with increased damage every time you consume a corpse. But with this build, it's obviously all the time. So I highly recommend doing that. I tried out the Army of the Dead at this point and actually replaced it back with tendrils. I switched back and forth quite a few times. I also sacrificed my golem to get the increased attack speed by 10%. I find myself up against 3 elites here, so I opt in to use Army of the Dead, as you can see here, and it doesn't seem to do anything for me, so this is when I start to have doubt in this skill, and I actually do go back and replace it. At level 29, I opt in to do the modifier for the passive skill Grim Harvest, which increases your damage by 3% and eventually 9% after consuming a corpse, which is all the time. At level 30, finally we've reached level 30, I opt in to continue supporting that passive skill that increases your damage after every corpse explosion, which is literally what we're doing all the time. It's called Fueled by Death, goes up to 9% once you max it out. I will be honest with you all, I still have the Army of the Dead in this video, but since then I have replaced it with the Corpse Tendrils, which allows you to manage the battlefield much more effectively. Use it every 6 or 7 seconds. Makes your enemies vulnerable so you do more damage. It brings them all on top of the corpses, the piles of corpses that you've generated, and you just do massive amounts of damage. Anyways guys, I really appreciate you for watching this. Even if it's only a few of you, hopefully this continues to grow. Please like and comment what you'd like to see, and subscribe. I am trying to make these videos better, but obviously I work full-time as well, so this is kind of just a side thing I do for fun. I play games, so might as well record them since I'm playing anyways. Again, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. I'll catch you next time. Bye.